Tommy Tallarico. Now, each week, we're going to take you inside the world of video games, like no one else has ever done before. I'll pack in weekly reviews of the hottest new games, and you got what we call the Electric Playground.
Atari's new Indy 500 is more fun because it's so action-packed. And a lot safer.
Atari's new Combat is more fun because it's most challenging.
Atari's new RC Battle is more fun because it's just like the real thing. Only drier.
From Ultra Pong to our new programmable video computer system, Atari's got more original games, and that's more fun for you.
When you think of classic games, you gotta think of Atari. Now, EP recently visited some of the founding fathers of the video game industry. Nolan! Who came up with the name Atari and why?
I came up with the name of Atari because it was a word that was used in a game that I like to play, which was Go, which is actually an Oriental game developed in China a gajillion years ago, picked up in Japan, and when you attack another group of stones, it's black and white stones on a matrix, you say Atari, and it's sort of like and it's a polite warning to your opponent that he's about to get whacked.
I began here in 1973. Started working with Nolan Bushnell, literally building Pong on the production line in 1973.
I joined Atari in August of '76 to work on video games. I joined because they had a game room. It had Super Breakout in it, which was my favorite game at the time, and I played it every day, as much as I could. The rest of the time I spent doing video games.
Pretty hard to believe that you're going to interrupt me playing my 2700, which
actually, I wanted to play it.
Who knew?
All for a 1984 Atari 2600 with Pacman built in.
In those days, the computers we were playing on cost, $9 million. So you'd say, gee, $9 million, 25 cents a play, math doesn't work.
No, I worked at Atari from the summer of 1977 through to about the beginning of 1985.
And so I knew that the games we were playing on the big computers, if I could make them commercial, would be a big success.
From an engineering standpoint, one of the most amazing machines ever made.
And so in some ways, the real thing that I did, rather than to say I invented the video game, I really commercialized the video game. Okay. I made it possible.
The guys that were designing the TI-994, which was one of the very first home computers from Texas Instruments, they had taken apart a 2600 and they had it nailed to a wall and with a big sign, like this guy's.
Atari was really the first, what I'd call, cyber sports game mecca. I mean, we just annihilated everybody who was our competition.
Want to play Atari?
Sure, pick something.
Okay, we've got Cannonball.
You're too good at Cannonball.
True. Miniature golf, casino.
Let's play Breakout.
Okay, I'll just pop in the cartridge.
Great.
Who's first?
You be first, I'll win.
Oh, that's what you think.
Dad, that's supposed to be fun for the whole family, right?
Right, son, we're having fun.
Then when do I get to play?
Oh, I did. I broke out.
Rematch.
When do I get to play?
No other company offers you as many different video game cartridges as Atari.
The Atari 2600 sold somewhere between 20 and 40 million units.
2600 was really a marvelous machine. Was the precursor to the home computer. Was the Apple Model 1 was very much modeled after the 2600. It's really amazing how much technology that we have today came out of Atari in the late 70s and early 80s.
Programming the 2600, from a programmer standpoint, it was a dream. It was perfect in every way.
I sold it to Warner Communications, and they ran it up to a couple of $2 billion. And then, but all the stuff that they produced was in the lab when I left.
We'd sit in a lab about the size of this room. There were 4 or 5 of us, and we'd basically sit all day playing each other's games and programming games.
About the time that Tank happened, or somewhere between Tank and the next project I was involved with, which was Sprint, where it became clear as hardware systems became more capable and powerful, and especially within the advent of the microprocessor, that this was something more than just kind of a one-time diversion. It wasn't a hula hoop.
There's really only about 80 instructions you actually use. And the chip inside the 2600 only had 20 registers you had to know. So it turns out you could actually program in your sleep or in your dreams. And so you could sit and program sitting here. And you could say, I know what I want to do. And tomorrow you'd go in and do it. And so as a programmer, it was like totally beautiful. Kaboom was 2,000 bytes total, the entire game. So you literally could memorize your entire game. And you had to, because you had to get it to fit into 2,000 bytes. If it was 2010, it wouldn't fit.
Atari was one of the largest employers in the Silicon Valley. At one time, it was the world's largest user of microprocessors, ROMs.
It was extremely successful. It had penetrated all the homes and reached what's called saturation point. So from then on, you have to sell software.
And look at this, a shrink-wrapped Pacman.
I stood outside of one of those chain stores in a long line to buy this when it came out. It was a big deal. No, actually, to tell you the truth, I didn't expect arcade stuff. I didn't know they could do what they ultimately did with Ms. Pacman and Centipede, and I was a little disappointed, but I wasn't surprised, and Wafer Man turned out to be a lot of fun back then.
You know, they just don't make games like they used to, Don. It's certainly not like an original 1977 boxed Sears Telegames video arcade, which was really the first 2600. Of course, it shipped with either Air, Sea Battle or Combat, but it really took this game right here, Space Invaders, which came out for Christmas of 1979, to really boost the popularity of the 2600 and make it really the classic item it became.
If you don't renew what's going on,
right,
it crashes. And so it crashed in 1983.
We lost the interest of the players.
And that was true in the arcade world?
That was true in the arcade, and it's also true in the consumer world. I think one of the stories that happened was the ET cartridges basically ended up, I don't know how many million ET cartridges got buried in the landfill out here.
Yeah. Do you know anything about the rumors that there are ET cartridges buried somewhere in the desert?
Absolutely true.
Are you serious?
Think of this decision. Okay. As a corporate maven, you build more cartridges than you have installed base.
Well, how many 2600s were there back then when this fiasco happened?
I think that there was like 8 million.
8 million, and then how many ET cartridges did they make?
I think they did 10.
There's something about, I think, the video game industry in particular, for most people, gets in their blood, and it seems once they've had that experience in it, it's tough for them to just pull away and never leave it.
It's the best time I ever had in my life. Many of those years, I never worked so hard for so little money, but those were the best years I ever spent in my life.
For more classic game information, check out our website at ep.simpatico.ca.